Sounds good.
Okay, Dr. Carpenter, if you're ready, I'm going to go.
All right.
Dr.
Welcome
Carpenter, we
everyone.
are.
Welcome to the BCPH World Delegates Program informational session. I'm Dr. Candace Carpenter. I'm one of the co-chief executive officers of BCPH and also very excited to bring you the World Delegates Program. But I'll pass it on to Dr. Lecomte briefly.
Oh, hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. My name is Dr. Cersei Lecomte. I'm co-CEO of BCPH with Dr. Carpenter. I'm very excited to share this program with you today. I'm going to pass it back to Dr. Carpenter.
All right. So many of you may not know that BCPH has a number of different programs, but this one, the World Delegates Program, is one that we're proud to bring you starting in 2026. It's a program that we hope to have each subsequent year afterwards. But essentially, BCPH World Delegates Program is a delegates program in global leadership and public health. So we'll tell you a little bit about that. Definitely feel free to put your questions in the chat. And otherwise, and we'll make sure that we'll get a chance to answer those. But just briefly, so BCPH, we are a 501(c)(3) nonprofit organization. We're a public health and social justice organization. Those two things are dovetailed. And so we have a number of different programs besides World Delegates, a Thought Fellowship, a Research Scholars Program, and a number of different awards as well, 40 Under 40 Public Health Catalyst Awards, a Health Innovator Awards. So we're proud to bring you this new one today. So the mission and vision of the World Delegates Program is really expanding public health leadership globally. And as we looked at a number of other public health organizations, we realized that there may be limited opportunities for people to be able to connect and also to be able to connect from around the world, right? And be able to have those frequent meetings with one another and get to see what are the public health issues that are happening in one's region, in one's state, and in one's country, in one's continent, right? And then how can we have those cross-state, cross-country conversations about public health? So it's really uniting a number of different regions towards those larger public health goals and those goals for health justice and social justice and equity. And so, in particular, the purpose is to recruit a number of delegates to represent any given region. Ideally, our vision is for us to have a delegate from every state in the US, obviously some of the US territories, and then representatives from every continent in the world. Obviously, because this is our first time that we're launching it, that may not be possible, but over time, we'd like to be able to have that. And so then delegates from all of those regions will then be able to converse with one another. Some of our objectives are basically for each fellow. So if you become a World Delegate Fellow for BCPH, it helps to expand your reach as well. So if you're the person who is representing Southeast Asia, for instance, then that gives you that leverage to be able to talk to other institutions within public health and be that representative for BCPH and learning about some of the work that they're doing if they want to be able to publish with our journal BCPHR, the Boston Congress of Public Health Review. It's also an opportunity to showcase the work that you all are doing as well within public health. And then also to really intentionally amplify different justice and equity initiatives that are going on around the world. So can be a conduit to a lot of things that are happening. A lot of times we have to search these things out, but with BCPH, we can essentially have a megaphone with the World Delegates Program, and you can help be one of the smaller pieces of that megaphone. So benefits, if you're not already a member of BCPH, this World Delegates Program allows you to have that automatic membership for the 2026 year. So it goes to January 2026 to January 2027. So I want to make sure that it is 1 year, that it's not encompassing 2 years. So just so that is understood on the slide. So that's essentially waiving if you were to have gotten an essential membership for $100 or for an elite membership that's around $250. You're recognized as a global representative within public health. And you're featured in a number of our different newsletters and our social media in terms of our story and as well as the initiatives that you are shepherding. And you get to network, obviously, across a number of different continents with the other delegates in the program. We do provide a stipend for the delegates program as well. It's up to $250. However, it may be less than that depending on where you're coming from and what you aim to do, but it's up to $250. And there is the end of the year delegates summit. We would like it to be in person, but obviously we'll be working to make that happen. So it may be virtual or hybrid. And then there's opportunities to be a global or regional chair. So if you have an interest in that and being able to basically manage a larger congregate of the world delegates, that is an option as well. And then you'll receive a certificate of achievement in global public health leadership. So as I mentioned before, so being a delegate entails serving that 1 year term, networking at least on a quarterly basis. There may be opportunities for some monthly convenings depending on how things are for this particular first cohort, but at the minimum, we will have meetings at least every quarter and then at least online check-ins on a monthly basis or email check-ins on a monthly basis. And the biggest thing about being a delegate as well is that you will get to create a mini project with the Boston Congress of Public Health. So this could be that you decide to have a mini webinar series. So it could be 3 to 4 different webinars within an area of public health that you think is pertinent to your particular region of the world. And you want to be able to do that through BCPH, and we will help you to be able to do that. It might be a blog that you want to be able to start and that you avidly and actively um, uh, add to throughout the entire year. It could be a survey that you want to send out to BCPH members or to a broader audience, or it could be a special edition that you want to shepherd within our academic journal, the Boston Congress of Public Health Review. Ultimately, I have some examples of what these mini projects would be for each delegate. We are very open to ideas that you may have, but things that ultimately are reasonable and then don't go beyond the $250 stipend that we would be able to provide and that you'd be able to be successful in accomplishing that within that 1 year period. And then ultimately, the other thing is that we want to make sure that you are very active on social media as well, be it LinkedIn, Instagram, or others, because the part of being a BCPH delegate is that you, in fact, are helping to strongly promote the other BCPH programs, not just the World Delegates program for which you would be a part of, but the other programs that I mentioned before, the 40 Under 40, the Health Innovators, the Thought Leadership Fellowship, the Editorial Fellowship, and more. And so, as I mentioned before, so delegates will come from hopefully every state in the US, but we may start off with just having a couple different regions at the beginning. I know we have a lot of people who come from certain states, so we may not be able to have 20 representatives from Boston, Massachusetts itself, right? We're looking to make sure that we have a conglomerate that truly is affecting all parts of the world. And we're looking for delegates from Canada, Mexico, UK, Ireland, the Middle East, West and East Africa, East Asia, Southeast Asia, Australia, as well as New Zealand. And I'm just going through the presentation. I'm happy to answer questions at the end because it's a fairly short presentation. So what qualities will a delegate have? So ultimately, we want delegates to be very motivated and ambitious. We know that people are very intelligent, those who tend to gravitate towards BCPH programs in general, but we want individuals who really want to be able to meet other people, to be able to network, and to really to make a difference within public health. So ultimately, being interested in that regional, national, international recognition within public health and being aligned with BCPH's mission, vision, and values. And then ultimately able to commit to at least 3 or 4 quarterly meetings that we will have online. And ultimately, we will do our best to be able to make sure that we choose times that make sense for a number of different time zones. But ultimately, we want people to be able to participate as often as possible. And to be able to get that certificate in the World Delegates program, you have to complete at least 3 of those 4 meetings. And we know that, as I said, people get very busy and have all their obligations. So if you find yourself having or anticipating a very heavy year in 2026, we say potentially look look to apply in another year because we're looking for people to be very involved with this particular program. We're also looking for people who are skilled in communication and social media. So if you're the kind of person who regularly does post on a weekly, if not daily basis, that's definitely the kind of person we want in the World Delegates. And we're also looking for people who are strong communicators. They're passionate about engagement because the biggest thing about this World Delegates program is that you're wanting to engage. So unlike other programs where you might be taking different courses, et cetera, this program is about outreach, is about networking. So I do have the application, and let me go ahead and quickly put that in the chat for everyone. So I've dropped that in the chat. So that is the application. And I'll just zoom back to that. So the application is actually not incredibly onerous. So we ask for a primary as well as an alternative email. And I'll say that it is very important that you do have an alternative email that you know is going to be consistent for the next couple weeks. We've had some issues in the past where people inevitably and sometimes unexpectedly will change different institutions that they're in. So making sure that you have that alternative email that's not going to change if you're changing jobs, etc. Obviously, we want to see what region you're part of. If you are part of the US, what region of the US you're part of, if you have won any of the BCPH awards. But I will say that is not necessarily a deterrent. So you don't have to have won an award to necessarily become a delegate. It's just something that we do in terms of wanting to collect information about who is applying. And then we want to be able to know, are you following BCPH? Are you entirely new to BCPH as well? And then we do require a very short video. So as I mentioned before, this World Delegates program is about people who love networking and outreach and engagement. And that's the biggest thing that we're trying to gauge with that 1 to 2 minute video. So ultimately, if you're like, I don't want to do the video, then the World Delegates program may not be for you because it is for people who are not shy and in terms of getting in front of a camera and being heard in terms of the areas that they're passionate about for public health. So that is a bit of a litmus test. So if you're shy about doing that, the program may not be for you because that is what the program is meant to amplify. But it is 1 to 2 minutes. We accept any kind of file. Ultimately, it's easier if it's a YouTube or a Canvas video because we won't have any issues downloading it. Last thing we want is for you not to be accepted because it's not compatible. So make sure that it is a fairly easy uh, uh, thing for you to upload. So I'll continue on in terms of the timeline. So application is now going through December 20th. We will be doing the selection on a rolling basis up to January 15th, and then by late 2026, so definitely by January 31st, the World Delegate term will begin. And as I mentioned before, it will run to January of 2027. So I'll just quickly mention again, so we do have a journal. We are actively collecting manuscripts. We will be starting an expedite campaign fairly shortly for this as well. So expedite means that you can publish a manuscript and know within 2 weeks whether or not you're going to be published. And then within that 2 weeks, or usually within 4 to 5 weeks, we can definitely have you online within our journal. So just wanted to put a plug in for that. And I mentioned before as well. So if you in fact don't apply to the World Delegates and get the automatic membership, make sure that you check out our membership options. We do have essential, elite options as well as organizational options as well. And we will have Black Friday as well as Cyber Monday membership deals. So Black Friday as low as $50 for some memberships, and then Cyber Monday, if you miss our Black Friday, as low as $75 for the year. So I will go ahead and conclude there. Dr. Lecomte, did you want to vet some of the questions? You're muted.
That's my magic trick. One of the first questions was about the upload form for the video. There is some issues apparently with the form accepting MP4 files. I
Mhm.
think the way around that would be to instead of that, upload it to YouTube and provide the link in a Word document and upload that Word document there so that we have it. And we'll be able to go watch the video on YouTube. Then the other question is from Ryan Sickles, and they were asking, does being in school impact your eligibility for the program?
Yeah, so being in school does not. I'm not quite sure why someone would think that you'd be disqualified. However, as I mentioned before, the things that we're looking for in terms of eligibility, so very motivated, very ambitious, able to continuously represent BCPH on a weekly basis, and then able to attend 3 of those quarterly meetings. So if you feel that your school schedule will somehow take away from that, then you may consider not applying. There's some people who can make that class schedule work, and we will be very to the letter when it comes to awarding the certificates as well. So if you foresee any issue with a school schedule or work schedule, then we recommend not applying, because we definitely want it so that people can be fully engaged with this, because it'll be very difficult for us to make a lot of accommodations for multiple people.
We also have a question from Anyi Tan, and they're asking about, they're currently based in the United States, but they were born and raised in Malaysia. And they were asking, am I eligible to get involved in the Southeast Asia initiative?
So currently we've been thinking a lot about that. Our biggest concern is that we want to be able to have representatives that are actually in the areas that they're going to represent. So we will consider if someone has a active connection to that region. For instance, if you happen to be from Malaysia and you go back and forth on a yearly basis, then we would strongly consider allowing you to be a representative. However, if you have not been back, then unfortunately that we would consider you to be US based.
Okay. And then the last question is there an email to which we can send the MP4 video? I think, again, the best way to get around this is to send a YouTube link to the video. So upload the video, put the URL to it in a Word document and upload it to the form when you apply.
And I'll just add on to this. I understand sometimes when people have difficulties with forms, they just want to bypass it to an email. You have to understand that we have many, many applications for lots of different programs. And in order for us to be able to be very well organized, we like things to go into a form. So we don't have to, things can get lost if they're sent to the email that we do happen to have. And so that can be very difficult in terms of making sure that we give everyone the same attention when we're deciding who to be able to interview and who to be able to accept. That's why we strongly encourage. It is very simple to be able to upload something to YouTube and then just have, as Dr. Lecomte mentioned, the Word doc that you put in our form, and then we're able to access it via YouTube. The other thing that we're looking for as well is your ability to be adaptable. If you still find the need to send that video via email, note that that won't be considered, right? It's because we're really looking for people who can work with BCPH and the processes that we have.
And then we also have a question. Some folks are very excited about the program, and they want to know if we could share some examples of prior mini projects or places where we might be able to review them.
Yeah, absolutely. This is our first time doing World Delegates. So those who get accepted, you'd be the first cohort. So there are no examples of what these are. I gave examples of what we would accept, but the sky is the limit in terms of what you can do. Ultimately, when delegates are accepted, we will have meetings to be able to discuss and brainstorm lots of different ideas. So ultimately, that may That may deter some people, but that might actually be, allow for a lot more creativity because there isn't anything for people to see. There are mini series that we ourselves have created. So I do encourage you to go to BCPH Studios. So there have been mini series, say on biodesign, in public health and others that you can view, but they were not done by World Delegates. They were done by all of us inside of BCPH.
And Daisy Lee has asked, how large do we anticipate this year's cohort to be, sort of in total as well as by region?
Absolutely. So ultimately, whenever a new program is started, that is going to be based on the level of interest and the strength of the cohort. We're because of, just the fact that we're accepting applications now, it's very possible that we might have a smaller cohort of 10 people, as opposed to like our grand vision is, as I mentioned before, to have 50 representatives, one from each state, and then at least two representatives, from East Asia, Southeast Asia, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, Mexico, etc. So in the future, it will definitely be, closer to 100 people, but very likely, depending on the level of interest and the strength of applicants, it might be as small as 10, but it may be a very powerful 10 people. But ultimately, that's what we're looking for. People who are very strong in, like I said, their desire to network, to outreach, and ultimately to make a difference with the mini project that they could do with the World Delegates. So I'll just mention I've done many fellowships myself. We're not considering this a fellowship, but I will say some people have fellowship fever. So this is not the kind of program that you just kind of get and you don't necessarily attend anything, or you do very little. It will be a very actively engaged cohort, but not so much so that you feel daunted unnecessarily. Like all of the different things that you will need to help in posting things for BCPH, we will provide for you. And ultimately be very flexible in terms of the quarterly meetings and their dates and times that we will have. But ultimately, like it'll be a good balance between people who definitely want to make a difference, but not too difficult, because there will be some flexibility.
I'm checking here, and it looks like we've actually answered all of the questions that have come in through the question portal. And I'm just sort of checking someone also was asking about what the program might look like, if differently in North and South Africa.
So the program will not be different. So this first cohort, the idea is that the delegates would meet. We would decide on what mini projects people want to do. If people want to pair up, ultimately and do a mini project that way, they're welcome to do so. It doesn't have to be individual. It could be group based if that's what works as well. And as I mentioned, we'll have the quarterly meetings via Zoom. So it won't necessarily be different for any given region starting out. So this is the first cohort. As this World Delegates program progresses, there might be very different initiatives that are happening in each region, but starting out, it is designed for many projects for you as a delegate to be able to showcase different things about public health and your region of the world, and then also get to meet other people within public health on an active basis.
And we have a new question in the question and answer portal. Um, they wanted to know if being a delegate would prevent them from being eligible for other BCPH awards like the Outstanding Practice in Public Health or Distinguished Career.
No, for the delegate, it would not be. And for our other programs, we have made it so that you could not be eligible, but for the World Delegates program. But I will also mention as well, I know some people try and, think if they're in one program, that means that they might be more likely to be qualified for another program. So you won't be disqualified, but it will not necessarily enhance your chances of being selected for any of those awards or grants, because we still have a fair committee process that we go through.
Yes, and then there was also a question, and this is a kind of a nuts and bolts one about membership. They currently have a membership that's running till it must be April 2026. Do you think it's worth using the Black Friday deal now, or should I wait until it's closer to expiring, meaning their membership? Um, I believe if you purchase it now, it will begin that new year will begin after your old membership closes. So it would be worth it.
And for the Black Friday and Cyber Monday, it would only be on the actual days. So so just like any other Black Friday or Cyber Monday deal, you'd have to purchase it on that day. Um, but yeah, we should make a note about that as well, Cersei, so that because I think that's a great question, Ifani, about membership.
Yes. Thank you for asking that. That's very helpful. So these are great questions we've had.
Yeah, I'm like seeing any more. All right, awesome. The other thing I'll mention as well, if there are people who are particularly keen, um, about applying, and they want to do so. I have made it so that some people can interview with me early. If you are interested, I'm able to drop that in the chat, and it's only for individuals who are on this call right now. So I know some people might be watching this as well, but I'll check the list. So if you are on this call right now, then you will be able to actually schedule a an interview with me for Will Delegate. So what that means is you bypass the application process. And I'll only make it so that people can schedule for today. So you have to be on the call and you have to schedule today in order to be able to get that expedited interview. So give me 1 second. Here we go. So I'll go ahead and put that in the chat. So as I mentioned before, so must do that today, and then I'll go ahead and expedite that for you. But are there any other questions?
There's one final question about, does it have an application fee? And if it has, they wanted to note that they don't have an international payment system in Ethiopia.
The application form does not have a fee. So ultimately, I think that will make the question about certain financial barriers at different countries, hopefully that is not relevant for the application.
So, and then someone else wrote, I had an interview with you scheduled for November 21st, as I'm a previous award recipient in BCPH. Should I reschedule another interview with you using that new link?
Nope, nope. So if you already are previously scheduled with me, obviously we'll continue to meet. Uh, so basically, there's only so many people who have been allowed the expedited interview. So those people who have already been 40 under 40 award winners for 2025, and then anybody on the call. There's no need to reschedule if you're already set to meet with me.
Great.
Well, if there are no additional questions, we definitely look forward to hearing more from you. There might be more, so you can email us questions at communications@bcph.org, and we will get back to you. Ultimately, sign up for that interview, as I said today, then you can get that expedited, so I can make those decisions. Otherwise, you will have to do the application, but as I said, there's no fee to the application, and we'll be making decisions starting after December 20th.
Wonderful.
Without further ado, I think we'll go ahead and end it there.
Thanks so much for joining today, everyone.
Thank you. I look forward to meeting with you, Miriam.
And for those watching us live, if you have questions about the program or about this program, about membership or any other program that we have at BCPH, you can write to communications@bcph.org. That's communications@bcph.org. Thank you.